Hello everyone, welcome back to the course Websockets. So in the previous video, we have discussed on some theoretical information on the WebSockets. So what a WebSocket is and different kinds of use cases, correct? So now it's time to jump into the coding. And in this coding part, you will be seeing creating a WebSocket and pushing the notifications from server to client and sending some messages from client to server. So typically we will be doing entire bidirectional part in WebSockets. And before actually start the coding, so I would like to show you a pictorial representation. And then based on the step by step, we will be implementing it. If you remember this representation from the previous video, the first step involves in the WebSocket is creating a WebSocket and connecting to the WebSocket from the client, correct? Then we will be forming a successful handshake. Once a handshake is formed, then we can do the bidirectional part from client to server and server to client. So let's implement the connection part first. For that, the backend WebSocket I'm going to implement with the help of Springboot, because Springboot provides a good libraries to support the WebSockets. And for the client, I'm going to implement with JavaScript and with the help of STOMP.js and SOCK.js. So SOCK.js is nothing but providing the transport mechanism for the WebSockets, because not all browsers support the WebSockets. So to let browsers support the WebSockets, we should have the SOCK.js. And STOMP.js, I will tell you what exactly a STOMP is in this session. So and for now, let's create a WebSocket using Spring Boot. On the first step, I'm going to generate a Spring application with the help of Spring IntelliJ. So if I go inside a Spring IntelliJ, and if you see in the dependencies section, I can search for WebSocket. Okay. Spring supports WebSockets. And if you see here, build WebSocket applications with SOCK.js and STOMP. So let me give some values here. Group maybe com.websocket.demo something. And I'm going to select Java 11 because in my machine I'm having Java 11. Of course, you can use Java 8 as well based on your JDK versions. Okay, so I'm going to generate the Spring application. So for now, I'm going to pause this video and we'll meet you once I import this project in the IntelliJ. Yeah. So I have imported the generated Spring application in IntelliJ. So this is the project which I have generated. You can see demo application, which is nothing but a Spring application, Spring Boot application. Okay. So the first step, what we have to do is we have to provide a configuration for the WebSocket. So we have to create a configuration class. So let me create a package here, maybe a config. Okay. So let me create a WebSocket configuration file. Okay. So as you know, to create any configuration files, we have to make it enter it with the configuration, and then we have to enable WebSocket message broker. Okay. The reason is, when you are sending any message from server to client, server will place a message inside a message broker. Actually, server push the messages to a message broker, and client will subscribe to that message broker. Hence, client will get the messages as soon as a server publish it to the message broker. So there is a mediator. When you are working on the WebSocket, there is a mediator. A message broker will take care of the message exchange part. So that is the reason we have to enable this. And here we have to implement WebSocket message broker configure, because we have to make certain configurations for the message broker. I will tell you why exactly. So the first thing is configure message broker. Okay, so in configure message broker, the first line will be registry.enable simple broker. See, this is nothing but we have a message broker. Okay, and I would like to provide a prefix for that. I mean, uh, you can push different kinds of messages to a topic. Like topic is nothing but a message broker. Okay, so maybe you might have different message brokers, but you would like to have a root path before each and every message broker name. It's like providing a request mapping. If you work on the REST services, how we will provide the request mapping on top of a class to have a root path, right? In the same way, this is like a root path. I would like to provide a topic. Okay, so this is nothing but setting a root path before the message broker name, and this is optional. And set application destination prefixes. So this is also a prefix. Okay, so when a client wants to send a message to the server, okay, so in REST services, what exactly we will do? We will be using the iterate request mapping, right? And there will be a root path we will be setting on the top of class in the same way. So this is also a root prefix that we are going to use. So at the time of usage, you will come to know the exact usage of these prefixes. Okay, now the second thing is, this is the important one which we should be focusing on: register stomp endpoints. Okay, here the first line would be registry dot add endpoint. Okay, this is the WebSocket endpoint which client will connect to. That any name you can provide. I'm giving WebSocket maybe demo. Okay, dot set allow origin patterns. This is to avoid the cars issues. Currently I'm giving stars dot with subjects. Okay, you might get a lot of questions now. So what exactly this is for? Because when I'm working on the WebSocket, what is the use of registering the STOMP, and what exactly a STOMP is? STOMP is nothing but simple or streaming messaging protocol. Simple or streaming text-oriented messaging protocol. STOMP also a protocol. Okay. Now the actual question which what you will get is, okay, I'm working on the WebSocket protocol for now. Then why I have to use the STOMP protocol? Why I need another protocol when working on the WebSocket? Correct. For this, I have to show you a pictorial representation which we have discussed before again. And I'm sorry if I'm going too slow. Okay, so because WebSocket creation is very damn easy. There is nothing to uh, there is no complexity on creating a WebSocket, right? So with Springboot, simply you can create a WebSocket with the help of Springboot libraries. So creation of the WebSocket is too easy, but what exactly a stomp, why we are registering it, what is the help of subjects? Knowing these details are a bit important to know in-depth details. And these details are even, it's optional to know, but I would like to provide some information on that. That is the reason I'm explaining the stomp as well. Okay, so if you remember this picture, as I told you, once we have successful connection to the WebSocket, there will be a handshake formed, right? Ideally, this handshake, once we form a handshake, whatever the message communication happen between the client and the server, okay, that happen on the low level, because WebSockets works on top of TCP, and TCP, the message communication happens on the low level. Now, when WebSocket transmits some messages, the message will be transmitted in the form of frames. A frame is nothing but a message. A message can be in the binary format or in a text format. Okay, but a frame contains only a message, and that too on the low level, because it works on the TCP level, right? But what we communicate actually on the application level, application layer level, which is on the high level. And what are the frames that are transmitted between the client and the server does not have any additional information what this message is for. Is this message that is coming to the server, is this message sending by the client, or whatever the message that is coming to the client, is it sending by the server at the time of subscription or at the time of unsubscription, or what kind of the message it is? So means what kind of operation it is. That operation details does not included in this frame. A frame will be having a message only. So that is a big problem because server cannot understand that frame. What to do with that message, server don't know. For that purpose, along with the WebSocket, on top of WebSocket, there is a sub protocol involved, that is nothing but the STOMP. A STOMP is also a protocol which sits on top of WebSocket protocol. What STOMP does is it adds the additional frames on top of the WebSocket frame. The additional frame, what exactly it will add is it will add a command saying what this message is for. This is the message at the time of connect. This is the message at the time of send. So the STOMP sits on the high level, which is on the application layer protocol like HTTP, and it adds the additional frame details, what exactly this message is for, that is transmitted through the WebSockets. So if you see the protocol, the STOMP protocol is broadly similar to HTTP and works over TCP using following commands. So as I told you, STOMP adds some commands to the frames which are transmitted in the WebSockets. Okay, with this command, server come to know what exactly to do with that message. Now, that is the reason instead of connecting to the WebSockets directly, we will be connecting to the STOMP endpoints which were registered during this configuration. Now, what would be the next step? The next step would be connecting to this endpoint from the client, and then we will form a handshake. So to implement the client, now I'm going to use the sock.js and stomp.js. With the help of both these libraries, we can implement the client. The sock.js is required, as I said before. It provides the transport mechanism of WebSockets for the browsers because not all browsers supports WebSockets. So sock.js helps browsers to support the WebSocket transport mechanism and to understand the WebSocket protocol. And also the STOMP.js, because to understand the frames and to add the additional frames, we need STOMP client as well, from client side as well, right? So that is the reason we will import both these libraries to our JavaScript, and then we will make a successful handshake to the connection that we have created. So let's implement that. So I'm going to create a client inside this resources folder for now. Ideally, we can have a separate project as well, but instead of creating as a separate application, I would like to have my JavaScript and HTML files inside this directory. So I'm going to create a static. This is the folder name I'm giving. Inside that, let me create a HTML file, index.html, and one more for the script. Maybe I'm going to name it like script only, script.js. Okay. So the first step, let me give a title, Websocket Demo. The first step would be importing the STOMP and short.js JavaScript files. So I already have copied the libraries. Let me paste here. See, these are the two libraries which we should be creating at the first. So importing at the first, sorry. So this is the sock.js and this is the STOMP.js, which will help us to connect to the WebSockets. And also, let me import two more script files. There's nothing but the Bootstrap and jQuery. Bootstrap, as you know, I will get some predefined styles, and jQuery to access the DOM elements more easily. So only because of that purpose, I'm adding these two as well. Now, what I'm going to implement is, I'm going to create a button here on the HTML. I will name that button as connect. When I click on that button, I will make a connection to the WebSocket using JavaScript with the help of both these libraries, and I will make a successful handshake connection. Okay, so let me create a button. Div, just let me name it, give a title again. WebSocket Demo application. Inside div, let me create a button. Button ID equal to connect. Class equal to button. So these are the Bootstrap classes I'm going to use to get some styles. Connect. Okay, and also let me refer the script file that we have created. Okay, fine. So now what I'm going to do, let me refresh. Let me open this index.html and see how the button is. Okay, great. Let me bring this to the center of the page. For that, I'm going to add some styles. These are optional. Okay, great. Now, if I go to the browser, yeah. So now, clicking on this button, I will make a connection to the WebSocket that we have created. So let's do that. Here, I'm going to create a STOMP client. So I'm going to create this variable as a global one so that I can use that across the all functions in the later point of time. So first, let me do the connect part to the WebSocket. Okay, now here I'm going to use the sock.js. This is the syntax. So inside constructor of the, inside sock.js constructor, we have to provide the connection URL that we have created. So the connection endpoint we have created is this one, correct? The stomp endpoint. So that's what we are going to require. And here, where exactly this is? This is in my local host. Great. Okay. Now the first question will come to your mind is why to use HTTP here? Actually, with the help of sock.js, we can directly hit the WebSocket protocol or we can hit the HTTP as well. Even though you use HTTP inside, it will convert that HTTP into the WebSocket and it will make a WebSocket connection to the server. And the main important point here to be noted is when you're making a WebSocket connection to the server, ideally WebSocket internally connects to the server with HTTP 1.1 only. It will make a connection to the server with HTTP protocol and then it upgrades the protocol to the WebSocket. Then it will form a persistent connection on the TCP layer. In the sense, it will connect to the server on the application layer with HTTP protocol and it upgrades the HTTP protocol to the WebSocket and then it will form a permanent connection on the TCP level. That's how it works. And I will show you because when we are making a request on the request headers, there will be some parameters that I'm going to show you. Those parameters will tell server to switch the protocols and I'm going to show you as well. Once I successfully run this, I'm going to show that. Now the second step is having the stomp client. Already I'm having a variable here, stomp.over. Just provide that. So just hand over the sock.js object to the stomp. So the stomp will take care of connections. Now to connect it, stomp.connect empty and then function frame. Successful connection, and what I'm going to get is I will get a successful frame. Let me log that. Frame received from server. Frame. That's it. Now let me point this function and click on button. Okay, great. Now let me open the browser and refresh. Then refresh. Let me open the console tab to check. Now I'm clicking on the button. See? Okay. We haven't run the server right actually. So let me run the server as well. This is the server, right? So let me run this. So what we have done till now, we have made a WebSocket configuration. We have created the broker configurations and we have registered an endpoint where clients will connect to. So we have created a client and we are connecting to the endpoint that we have created from the client, okay, using the sock.js. So that's what we have done. Yeah, server is started. Let me route to the browser. Refresh again. Now make a connection. See, opening a WebSocket opened, and see, you can see there is a request I'm sending. There is a command here, connect, which is going to the server, and there is another command here, connected, which is coming from the server. These are the commands which are added by the stomp on the WebSocket frames. So these commands will be added on the first line, okay, by the stomp. So that's where you are seeing these commands, and with these commands server and clients will understand what this frame is for and at what time these frames are coming, okay. And you can see here frame received from server. This is the log we have written connected. So this is the command received from the server again. So this is the help of STOMP. STOMP ideally adds these commands, okay, to make client and server understand the frames that are transported with the WebSocket and the TCP. Great. Now if I go to the network tab, you can see there is a WebSocket protocol here. You can see this is a WebSocket protocol. Okay, we made a HTTP, but still there is a WebSocket protocol, and you can see there is a 101 response code. This 101 says that uh, server is telling us, yes, initially I received a HTTP protocol, but I have upgraded that HTTP protocol to the WebSocket, means I have switched the protocols. That is the response server is telling. You can see on the request headers, you can see there is a header called connection upgrade and upgrade of WebSocket. So we are asking server to upgrade the connection. Okay, and we are asking to upgrade to the WebSocket. Okay, that's what we are asking to the server. Okay, so as I said, internally it will be HTTP, but it will be upgraded. Okay, now if I go to the messages here, you can see the first frame will be connect. So we are connected to the server. Okay, and then the second frame would be connected. Okay, so the moment we receive the connector frame, then we can say that, yeah, there is a successful handshake happened. Now, what would be the second step here? Once we have a handshake, we can have the bidirectional communication from server to the client, from client to the server. Now, as a second step, let's implement the server to the client part. Means on the server side, I'm going to push some messages and then client will subscribe to it. Okay, so what exactly we are going to do is, um, okay, so we have done this part. We have connected to the WebSocket and we have received the successful handshake. Now if you remember, we have created the message broker, correct? What exactly the role of message broker? Whatever the WebSocket, whatever the server pushes messages, server push those messages to the message broker, and client will subscribe to the message broker and will get the message from the message broker. Now what I'm going to do now, I'm going to push some messages, right? Means I have to push some messages to the broker which we have created. I will going to implement that part. For that, I'm going to create a Spring listener, which is my producer here, which will produce some messages to the topic when the application is started. Okay, that's what I'm going to implement now. Because to produce some messages to the topic, to do that, let me create a package over here, producer. Inside producer, let me create a class, message producer, something. Now, what I told you, when application starts, this producer should produce messages to the topic, correct? For that, I'm going to create a listener. Separate configuration. See, this is nothing to do with the WebSockets. My requirement here is, when application starts, I would like to produce some messages. That's the reason I'm creating application ready event. This is purely a Spring related ones, nothing to do with WebSocket. Okay, public void produce. Okay, where exactly I would like to produce? I would like to produce messages to the message broker. There are a couple of ways to do that. One of the ways, we can auto-wire sync messaging template. This is the class which we can use to produce messages to the topic. For that, the convert and send. Here we should give the topic name. What is the topic name? If you remember here, this is the root, right? Root. And then we can give any name over here. So which you think of creating a topic, maybe you can give that name. Okay, and then here we should give the message. What are the payload you want to provide, you can provide here. Okay, now what exactly I would like to provide is, I would like to provide a big integer here. How big it would be? It would be 2 to the power of 2000 minus 1, a random number which will be created to 2 to the power of 2000 minus 1, and I'm going to calculate the prime number. this is the one which I would like to provide. You can ask me why. I mean, I can give any a string, a number, or anything. But why I have given a big integer is I would like to impose some processing time on the server, because this is a big integer. This is huge number. Calculating the prime number on top of a huge number, definitely server needs some seconds of time, maybe 1 to 5 seconds of time. If I iterate this for 10 times, what would happen? For each and every 3 seconds, I will get a output, and I will be giving that output to the topic, so that client will, when I'm doing this demo, uh, to get that message to the client definitely takes some time, so that I can show you, yeah, these are the messages are coming. So that is the reason I'm doing this. Okay, or else simply I can give some anything, a simple dummy value also I can give, but I would like to impose some time on the server, so that there will be some delay when subscribing to the messages. Okay, purely because of that I'm giving this. Now let me iterate this for 10 times. That range 0, 10. I can write for loop also, but I got habituated with this. Sorry. Okay. Okay. So 10 times I'm calculating the big prime and processing to the messages. I'm producing to the topic. Okay. That's what we have done. Now, as you see here, my processing part is done. Means I am producing messages to the topic. Now the next step would be consuming the messages from this topic from the client end. Let's do that. Okay. How to consume is, we have to write simple. This is too simple. See, client.subscribe. This is the method we should use. Subscribe. Okay. We should give the topic name. What is the topic name here? This is the topic name. Okay. On successful subscribe, I will be getting the response over here. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is, when I receive a message, I would like to display this message on the front end. For that, I'm going to create another div here. Sorry, I'm taking another list. Let me name it as results messages, maybe. Yeah, I'm going to display on the front end, so that I'm going to use a jQuery here to access the DOM elements. Dot append like data. Actually, whatever the data will get, you will be getting in frames only, right? So to get the actual message, we should use the body. Close. So that is the syntax. Okay. Now, what I'm doing here, we are producing messages to the topic, and we are consuming from the client here. Okay, from the same topic. The moment we receive some message, I'm going to display that message on the front end. Okay. Okay, we are done, I think. Let's go to the browser and refresh it. Refresh. Oh, sorry. We should start the server. We should restart the server. I forgot that. Let me do it. Okay. The moment we start the server, once the server is successfully started, this producing part will be started. Okay. Started. I think this will be started. Let me go to the browser, refresh, connect. Yeah, Websocket got connected. You can see in the message spot. See, the next step is we have subscribed. We have subscribed to the topic. You can see the topic name over here. Let's wait to get some messages. Yeah, see, there is some delay. To get this delay, that is the reason I have used the big primes. Okay, or else it will be too fast. I have to use the thread dot slips and everything. Instead of using thread dot slips, I thought of imposing some processing time on the server. That's why I have used the big primes. Okay, yeah. See, there are messages keeps coming. If you observe, there is only one connection, as I said before. On the same connection, we are getting the multiple stream of messages. So that is the beauty of WebSockets. Yeah. So we have done the second use case, like producing the messages to the topic and consuming the messages from the topic. And the next step would be sending some message from client to server this time. Let's do that. To do that, we have to send some message, right? Let me create an input box here on the client side. Div. I'm going to create a text input. Text id equal to maybe input. Okay, and I'm going to create a button id equal to send. On clicking on this button, I will send the inputted value to the server. Okay, same class equal to button maybe warning. I mean, to get some style only. Don't confuse with the name here. Send. Let me go to the browser and refresh. Yeah, I think I have received all the messages. Let me refresh this. Yeah, there is a button over here. Now, when I type something, what I'm going to do is, if I click 5 here, okay, when I click on the send, on the server side, I would like to replace this value with the inputted value. Okay, then what will happen? I will produce the messages based on the number I have received. Okay, currently what I have done, the moment server is started, I'm producing it simply. But this time, on triggering of the send button, I will produce the messages. So then I don't need this class for now. Okay. So for this, I'm going to create a new class, maybe a controller. Okay. So this is a controller. Now, how to map from front end to back end? How to map now? On clicking on the send button here, I would like to make a call to the server, right? That's where how we will use the request mapping. In the same way, there is a annotation is available, nothing but message mapping. For the WebSockets, we will use message mapping. Here, give some values. I mean, what is the endpoint wants to provide? Maybe produce. Okay, public void produce messages. Now, I'm going to send a string value from here, right? What is the input value user going to enter? I will send here. So to capture that string input, great. Now what I'm going to do is, I will take the same here. Okay, so give this. Okay, get that. Percent. Oh, great. And I will have to auto-wear this one as well, correct? See, this is one of the way only. There is another way I'm going to tell you later. Okay, so what we have done, we're assuming that we will be getting a call to this endpoint, okay, and with an input. And the moment we receive an input, those many, I mean, 2 to the power of that input, we are creating a random number and we're calculating the prime, and we are producing to this topic for 10 times. Okay. Now let's make a call to the server, to this endpoint from the front end. To that, maybe I'm going to create a method send. Go to script, create a function send. Okay, already we are having this client, right? This will be created at the time of connect, correct? So let's reuse that send. So here we have to provide the endpoint, correct? So what is the endpoint we have created? This one. Now, if you remember, this is the endpoint that we are going to make a call, right? And before this, we have to add the destination prefix. So this is the prefix we have created for. Now here, so prefix. So this is the prefix. This is the endpoint. Let me paste it instead of writing to avoid the mistakes. Okay. And I'm going to send no letters, nothing. And then here we have to give the input value. The input value would be from what is the ID? ID would be input. Okay. Input dot val. This is how we will get the value. Let me give this. That's it. So in this way, we can send a value and we can call the endpoint we have created. So let's restart the server once and let's send the values. Okay. Let's see if it is working or not. Okay. So the first step would be we should connect to the WebSocket. Yes, connected. Handshake formed. It is subscribed for this event, but there is no processing for now. The moment we click on this button, producer will stop producing the messages. Let's see. See, it happened. So I have given the value as 5. So to the power of 5 minus 1, until that there will be a random number generated every time and it will calculate a prime. So we received it. Let's give some bigger value this time. And see, there is a send function here. See, I'll click it again. Again, you will see a send over here. See, if you see here, observe here, on the same channel, multiple times I'm interacting with the server from the client as well. Now this time, increase the value. You can see here, number got increased. This time, definitely it will take more time than before. Again, there is a send function happen here. See, there is another frame which I'm going to send to the server. So that's how we can do the interaction from client to server. So on the summarize, what we have done till now, we have configured the topic and we have produced some messages to the topic, okay, and then we are subscribed for that messages from the client side, and then from client to server, we have sent some messages. That's what we have done. Now the next step, what we are going to do is we are going to implement the connection termination. So I'm going to create a button disconnect. I'm clicking on the button. We are going to make a disconnection request to the server. Let's see how that is. So to implement the disconnection part, as I said, let me create a disconnection button over here. So I'm clicking on the button. I'm going to send a request to the server to stop producing the messages. Okay. In the sense, it's not like server will stop produce the messages. It will like this client will unsubscribe from the topic. Okay, it won't get any messages from the topic. That is the right one which I should use. Yeah. Class button button maybe okay. Connect. Okay, let me open the browser once and see. Refresh, yeah. So let me send a request to the server. Disconnect function, implement the function here. Simply STOMP client dot disconnect. So this will unsubscribe to the topic so that you won't be getting any messages. That's it. So here the handshake we are terminating the handshake actually. Okay, so that we won't be in with the connection with the WebSocket anymore. So whatever the connection we have made with the particular endpoint, we are terminating over here. That's what exactly happens. So let me open the browser, refresh. So initially I have made a handshake connection. So send it and we will be getting the request, and I'm making a disconnection. See, disconnect, and the moment you have the disconnect, you stop getting the messages over the channel. See, because you know more with the connection with the WebSocket. So that's what will happen. So that's it guys from my end on this video. So these are the WebSocket core concepts and configurations that we should know, because these are the basics like creating the connections, sending the messages to the topics, and creating the message mappings. So these are the basics that we should know, and mostly I believe in the real time we will not be using more than this, because these are the concepts are more enough to us. But of course, there are other concepts on the WebSockets like WebSocket listeners, WebSocket handshake interceptors, which can be used for authentication purposes or counting the number of users that are subscribed to the topics, or these kind of numerous use cases we can do with the help of these concepts. Okay, and I'm going to create another video with the more real-time charting application, which is a more real-time use case. In this charting application, I'm going to create multiple chat rooms, and users will join to the chat rooms and do exchange the messages with one another with the help of WebSockets. And I'm going to count how many users are joined with each and every users with the help of WebSocket listeners, and also we can do the authentication. So these kind of more real-time use cases I will be doing in my next video, and that will be a single node charting application. And after that, I'm going to create a multi-node charting application with the help of WebSocket and Redis combination. So Redis is a good alternative for the publish subscribe mechanism where we can do the multi-node charting application. So uh, hope you enjoyed this video, and let's meet in my next video. Bye.